In this video, I am going to be making a tier list for all of the different sponsors in Spectre Divide so that you know which of these is going to be best for you to play in each of your games. So, we start off with Pinnacle International. This gives you a Splinter Grenade, Adrenalink, and a Flash Grenade. Splinter Grenade, very standard grenade that you throw and it's just simply going to blow up. Flash Grenade, very standard flash grenade you throw and it's just going to blind you. And then your Adrenalink is just a very basic heal that's going to heal you over time, and you can cancel it at any point. You can also use your pistol while you're using this. So this class, I think, is very okay, but I don't think there's much to it. But it is very simple. Everything is useful. Having heals is very useful. And for all of those reasons, I think I'm just going to be putting this into B tier for now. I think it's just a very okay class. There's nothing really bad with it. You're probably going to have a use for all of these things in your games. You know, like Cluster Grenade, always going to be useful to try and get someone out of a position. Heal, always going to be useful if you're low. And Flash Grenade is generally going to be useful to try and push into position as well. If you can temporarily blind someone, that's going to be good. And its range is pretty big. It does have a pretty big range on the Flash as well, which is nice. So for now, I'm going to leave that into B tier. So then we have Morrgen United, which gives us access to a Smoke Shift, Meltdown, and Hidden Grasp. Smoke Shift is very straightforward. It's just a smoke grenade that's going to block you and your opponent's view when you're inside it. Your ult fire does actually throw your puck with it, so this can sometimes be useful. But it's not really in most games. If opponents know what they're doing, if they see one of these, they're probably going to be around it or be checking it out and expecting someone to come out, so it's not really going to be that useful. And then you have two AoEs, one which damages opponents that are inside it, which is this one, and that's what it looks like, and the other one slows enemies that are inside it. Now this actually goes invisible to enemies so that they can't see it, they can't destroy it, and they can't destroy your other AoEs either. So neither of these can be destroyed, which is pretty nice, and they're both pretty big areas of effect, which is pretty decent as well. This one slows and the other one damages. The problem with this class is that your opponents can use your smoke grenades against you. And like obviously you can use it against them, but they can also use it against you. And your two AoEs are good, but they're not really powerful enough for this to be like an absolutely amazing class. It's just kind of okay. The smoke grenades are nice, but you know, there's only so much you can do when you're inside of them. Like either you're gonna come out of it or you're not, right? And the opponents can always be prepared for both. Or maybe an opponent is like crouching inside one, they try and knife you when they come out of it or something like that. I'm not too sure, but your opponents could definitely use this against you as well. So you do have to watch out for that. And your other abilities just don't really offer that much. Like, yes, the AoE is nice, but you're gonna have to be really precise with it to make those worthwhile. And it's not going to be an absolutely fantastic class. So for that reason, I'm going to put it into C. You do also only have one use of your C AoE, which is a little bit annoying too. Then we have Bloom Technologies. We get Hex Barrier, Twin Mend, and Swarm Grenade. Hex Barrier is simply a barrier that you place. All of these four sections have a little bit of health each. Both your bullets and the opponent's bullets can destroy this, so you do have to watch out for that. You can destroy your own kind of shields, but sometimes you want to do that so you can shoot someone that's on the other side. So there's a nice few plays that you can do with this, and the cooldown is very fast because you only have one use, but the cooldown is only 30 seconds long, which is pretty decent. Then you also have a heal. If you use your left click, you use it on someone else, and if you use your right click, you use it on yourself. If you use it on yourself, it heals for 40 HP, and if you use it on someone else, it heals for 80 HP. So having heals in this type of game is always extraordinarily useful, and this is no exception here, and it's even more versatile in its ability to heal your teammates as well as yourself as well. So that's in itself is just a very good ability. And then you do also have your Swarm Grenade, which is just like the Smoke Grenade, but it's better because it actually does damage to anyone that's inside it as well, which is obviously better than not doing damage to people that are inside it. It does damage to your opponents, but not to you. You can stand inside this and not take any damage at all, so you can actually just use it as a Smoke Grenade if you want to, but it will damage people that go inside it. So this class, I think, is very good when you pair everything together. It's just a really nice kit. Everything is useful. And if you're in the final round of a game or something and you need to win, it's the last game, or you lose, then you're going to be able to use everything in your kit here quite comfortably to help you achieve that victory. Like, everything here is going to tend to be useful, which is one of the nice things about this class. You're never gonna like finish a really important game without having used one of your abilities, because all of them are pretty useful. So for that reason, I'm going to put this into A tier. I think it's just a really nice, well-rounded class. Then we have Ryker Industries. This gives us a wave scan, a hull mine, and arc sentry. So the problem that I have with this class is that everything can be destroyed fairly easily. If I throw this grenade, which is going to try and ping enemies, they can see that on the wall and just destroy it very, very quickly, and then I'm not going to get so much use out of it. I might get the first ping in, but the other bad thing about this is that the pings go towards me. So if I throw this and they see where the pings are going, they're going to know a very basic idea of where my whereabouts is. So even though I might reveal one of them, if they destroy it, it's not going to reveal them for long, and they'll know where I am because of the pings from this thing. So it's a little bit counterintuitive to use this to try and locate someone else, because they can actually just use this to locate you, and it can be destroyed. So I'm not a fan of that. Your E ability is the hull mine. So you pop this down, and this AoE here is going to do damage to someone once they go inside. It does 15 damage, and it does like 3 pulses of it. So it does like 15, 15, and then 15. But again, enemies can just destroy this very, very easily. Enemies can't destroy this from one of the previous classes because it's actually hidden to them. But this enemies can always see, and they can just destroy it in like 2 shots. And then also your C, which is called the arc sentry. You use this, and it's going to slow anyone within its field of view, which is like a 90-degree angle towards wherever you place it. So it's going to slow someone if they come down this corridor. But again, like a couple of shots, I actually can't destroy it because, you know, it's like on my team. But they could destroy this in 1 or 2 shots, and it's not going to really do so much against them. So, you know, I guess you could argue that if your enemies are destroying your stuff, you're going to have an idea of where they are. But, you know, would you rather enemies destroy your gadgets and you might know their location if they haven't already repositioned? Or would you rather have like a hex barrier and heals and smoke grenades or something else, right? So I don't think this class is going to be fantastic. I think it's very, very easy for someone to counter all of your gadgets. Like, even if you place your ability like this, if they just like go inside of the circle and then run out of it again, they're not going to take any damage. It's not hard to dodge either. So I definitely don't think that this is a very, very good class. And for that reason, I think I'm also going to put this one into C tier. I really just don't think it's that good. Now, so the original 4 classes, I have played as each of these in proper games, so I do kind of know what I'm talking about with all of them. I've tried them all out a good bit. I think I've got a fairly good understanding of them, but I haven't actually unlocked any of the other classes, so I haven't unlocked the other 4, just because you have to do an insane amount of like daily or weekly challenges to get them unlocked, so I just haven't been able to unlock any of them yet. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but this is how I think they would do in proper games. Obviously, I can only try them out in the tutorials, but what I'm about to say is how I think they're going to do in, you know, in casual games or in ranked games or whatever. So we have Vector Dynamics. This gives you access to Dew Lamp, which gives you a fire rate buff, Vector Wall, which is like a moving wall, and Nanosphere, which is kind of like a grenade that you throw and it deals damage. So the fire rate buff is very, very, very situational. You can also summon your Spectre to it while you're using it. It's very, very, very situational. Fire buff is kind of nice, but it does also make your recoil harder to control, so you do have to good aim. You do have to have good aim to use it, and you also need to know where the enemies are and if they're close or not. Like, if there's someone around this corner, and I know they're around this corner, then I can use this, but if I don't know they're around that corner, then obviously I can't know to use this, right? So this ability is a little bit situational, and so is your wall. So this wall is going to be good for pushing into a position, right? But let's say I don't want someone in front of me to shoot at me. I still have to check this corner, which I do kind of have time to do, but if this wall suddenly disappears, or if the person that's over there decides to come through the wall while I'm checking this corner, that's not going to be good. And you do have 2 uses of them, so you could argue you could do something like this and try and, you know, push this point really, really, really quickly like that. But then you've used up both charges of your wall and you don't have another one for the rest of the game. And if, like, someone's around this corner, how are you going to get past here, you know? So I find that to be a little bit situational as well. I think it can be good for sure, especially if your teammates are all using voice chat and you're like group queuing as well. That can definitely be useful for all of you to like push a point at the exact same time. That can definitely be really annoying. But if you're solo queuing like me, I think this is going to be pretty situational. And then you have the nanosphere, which is just a very small kind of AoE grenade that you're going to throw. If it hits a wall, it's going to bounce off. It only lasts a certain amount of time, though, and it does 90 damage over 2.5 seconds to anyone inside. So if they get hit by the full thing, they will be fairly low, but you do have to be aware that the enemies can just shoot this to destroy it as well. And again, it doesn't last for that long, so it will get destroyed if you don't hit anyone within the first couple of seconds. So I feel like that's a little bit, you know, situational as well. This one's probably more likely to be useful, but if someone sees you throwing this here, then they're probably just going to be able to shoot it in time, or like they're going to get out of the AoE in time. So instead of doing 90 damage, because it's over 2.5 seconds and it's damage over time, maybe they only get hit with like 25 damage or something, which isn't so much. So in general, I just feel like this class is pretty situational, but if you really, really know what you're doing, and like, let's say you know where someone is, so you can use the fire rate, you know where everyone is, so you can use these walls effectively, and you're pushing in with your team, and then you also know where someone is, so you can use your nanosphere, and you can confidently hit them with the bot before someone shoots it, then this would be good. But I just feel like it's pretty situational, and for that reason, I'm also going to put this into C tier. Now again, this might go up more if you're actually, you know, grouping with other people and you all know what you're doing, you're all using comms and all that. This could go up to B for sure, but for solo queuing, I think it's going to stay in C. Then we have Ghostlink Collective. This is the class that I'm trying to unlock right now because I just think it sounds really cool. So first up we have Partition, and then we have Dupe, and then Dead Zone. Partition just deploys a really, really big wall that blocks vision and projectiles. So if I try to shoot this, the bullets aren't going to go through. So this is a big wall that's just going to keep you very, very safe, and enemies are not going to be able to see through it. It doesn't last a whole lot of time, but it does last a decent amount. It's going to last enough time for me to get through here. And you do also have 2 uses of this, which is pretty nice as well. Then you have Dupe. And this is going to be very similar to Mirage's ability in Apex. You just place a dupe that's going to go towards wherever you're aiming. The very nice thing about this is that enemies that shoot your dupe are going to be revealed. So if I put a dupe over here, because I think someone's to the left, and I maybe don't want to peek this corner, if I put someone through here, and the opponent takes a second to shoot them, I'm going to be able to shoot them, like maybe when they're reloading, and I'm also going to know their exact position for a couple of seconds after they shoot the dupe. So this, to me, in the right hands, sounds like it's going to be very, very, very useful. And then Dead Zone is a grenade that you throw that is going to blur the vision of everyone inside this, and this isn't going to be like a smoke grenade vision blur, it's going to be like a proper vision blur. You're really not going to be able to see anything at all when you're inside of this. So it doesn't last that long, but it does have a pretty big AoE. So if someone's trying to push around a corner and they get stuck inside this, you're probably going to be able to get a pretty easy pick. And you do have 2 uses of everything in this class as well, which I like quite a lot. So you don't have access to any heals. I mean, the wall is a little bit situational, but for the most part, I think that this could definitely shape up to be a pretty solid class, and for that reason, I'm going to put it into B tier. For Muu Robotics, we have Patches, a Dazzler, and Hyperdome. Patches is a drone that is going to heal you and your allies that are standing inside of it, and you can see it has a pretty big AoE, and you can also use your alt fire to make it stationary. So you can make it so that it moves and goes in a straight line, or you can make it stationary. Then you have an offensive drone that is going to follow your crosshair, so you can kind of like make it go around corners and stuff like that if you do it properly. And then you have an offensive drone that you can actually use to go around corners and kind of blow someone up that's maybe through here. So this could definitely be useful as well. It says it does 15 health each. So then you have an offensive drone that is kind of like a flashbang. So if this blows up near someone, it's going to obscure their vision. So you use it, and you can actually kind of make this go around a corner or something a little bit. So you can maybe, you know, stab someone that's in here if they didn't know that you were coming. The problem with this is that it doesn't have the best range ever. It blows up pretty quickly. So this can be advantageous in like small areas like this, and you want to curl it through and then hit someone that's on the other side of that. But you're gonna really need to know the range of that properly, because you don't want to use it and then it like blows up before you even get around the corner like that. You know, that's not really gonna be that useful. And then you also have a dome shield that's going to A, shield all bullets for a couple of seconds, and B, it's going to make your Spectre come to you really, really, really quickly if you throw your puck. So this on its own can definitely be useful with like the bullet block, and the kind of Spectre throw or the puck throw is just a nice little kind of addition to it as well. Obviously, it's not going to block many bullets, but it can definitely be useful. So I think this class is going to be okay. I mean, if I had a tier in between a B and C, I would probably put it here. I mean, heals is always good. And the Dazzler, if you really know what you're doing, if you really kind of know the range of this thing and when it's going to blow up, that's going to be quite good, I would say. So you know what? I'm probably going to put this into B tier just because heals are always very, very, very good. And that's your ability that regenerates. So you can actually use this multiple times in a game. And you've got 2 uses of the other thing. So I think I'm going to pop this into B. And then lastly, we have Umbra Reconnaissance. This gives us access to Recon Wing, Pulse Finder, and Glare Burst. So, Recon Wing, you throw, and it's going to mark anyone that's inside of this AoE after a short delay. Pretty straightforward. Pulse Finder is just going to pulse in front of you every 2 seconds to try and look for players that are here. So I believe if someone's like around this corner, it is going to ping them. But again, I haven't tried it out in proper games, so I'm not too sure. But I would imagine that it would, and you do hold out your secondary weapon whenever you are using this as well, which is a nice bonus to this. And then Glare Burst is a drone that's going to pop out, quickly blind someone, and then just suddenly disappear again. So I feel like that this could be good. It does have like a pretty big range on it, like both wide and long. So this can definitely be good if you know where someone is. Like if you know their kind of vague whereabouts, you could use it here, and it would probably still get someone that's around this corner right here. So I think this can be good. I think this class definitely could be good. You probably have to know what you're doing, but I feel like this is a much better recon class than the current kind of default one we have in the game. So I feel like that ability is going to be good for, like, if I think someone's over here, I quickly want to pop this and have a look. Now I'm going to know exactly where they are. If I'm not too sure, if I think they've moved, I can whip out this. And if I'm, not sure if they're exactly around this corner right here or not, I can just pop this. And that's all of these are going to give me information regarding the enemy's whereabouts, which is kind of the point of the class. So I feel like this class would probably do quite well as like a recon class or a lookout class. And for that reason, I feel like it's going to go into B, because I feel like knowing where your enemies are is going to be pretty powerful. So again, I haven't used any of the, the last 4 classes because I just haven't unlocked them yet. So I'm not too sure about where those would actually go in actual games. But I feel like where I've put them would... I mean, it might reflect where they should be. I don't know. I haven't used them in-game. But the first 4, I'm fairly confident about their placing. And I do think right now, Bloom Technologies is the best. The heal is really, really, really nice. The smoke grenade that also damages enemies is really nice. And the hex barrier is very, 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 very good as well. Like, even if I think someone's going to come around of this corner, I can place the barrier like this and just get like a very, very small area where I could just shoot them here. And because they see the barrier, they're probably going to be looking for the person that's, like, over here, right? Probably behind the barrier. Or, like, well, they'll be looking for the person that's, like, here, but they won't be looking for me. That's, like, well, that's a pretty bad example. They'll be looking for the person that's, like, here when they come around this corner, but they won't be looking for me that's, like, right here, right? Because you check the angle that's on the very left first. So you check the angle that's over here first, you'll see this barrier, and then you'll see this person, but you're not going to see me, who's going to be right here. So there's a couple of sneaky little tricks you can do with this barrier, like shooting it first, and then on your next shot, it's actually going to get destroyed. So the enemy thinks they're safe for a second, but they're actually not, because you're going to destroy it with your next shot. And your other abilities are just super useful as well. So I think this class is like pretty much the best, but I think there are several that aren't far behind, and then I would say there's a couple that need a bit of work. All in all, I don't think there's a class that absolutely sucks or that's absolutely awful. I think you can definitely get away with using anything right now. I'd say there are some that are pretty weak, which is why I've put them into C. And it would be might be nice to see them get buffed and stuff like that. But for now, I feel like Bloom Technologies is probably going to be the best up in A. And then there's a couple of different options in B, some of which I haven't even tried out yet. Healing is always good. I think I put all of the healing ones in B. Healing is very, 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 very powerful. And then in C tier, we have a couple of other ones as well. But yeah, I think that's going to be my tier list for this game. I think for new players, Pinnacle International and Bloom Technologies is going to be your best bet because they both have heals and, you know, you don't have to unlock any of the other 4 classes. They're both some of the starter classes, or the starter sponsors, I should say. So yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.